This is the IEE 3200W Portable Power Station P3200. I picked it up after a storm weekend where my smaller battery pack tapped out trying to run the fridge and heat up dinner. I didn't want a gas generator, and I wanted something that could run real household stuff without fuss, charge fast between outages, and still be portable enough to move around the house or toss in the car for a trip. I'd put it in that sweet spot of serious backup power that you can still roll around. It's not a tiny camping battery, and it's not a whole home system either. It's for people who need to run full-size appliances for stretches of time, or keep critical gear going when the grid hiccups. For me, it's a home backup and weekend camping solution that doesn't feel like overkill. My experience started with a simple setup. I plugged in a desktop, router, a couple lamps, and my fridge to see how it behaved in everyday use. The angled screen on top sounds like a small design choice, but I appreciate it constantly. I can read the watts in and out from standing height, and that's helped me get a feel for what actually drains the battery. In normal daily backup mode, I ran my router and a small NAS on it and let it sit like a mini UPS. During a weekday outage, power flicked off in the neighborhood, and my desktop stayed on. No reboot, no dropped call. That quick switchover is exactly what I hoped for. Real appliances are where this thing earns its keep. The fridge cycling is a non-event. The microwave at around 1200 watts runs smoothly. I boiled water with a 1500-watt kettle while the fridge kicked on, and it didn't flinch. I also tested it with an older portable AC unit that's notorious for a rude startup surge. The screen showed a spike for a moment, fans spun up, the lights didn't dim, and the compressor caught. Charging speed is the other reason I went with this model. After that outage, I charged it from the wall during a short window when power was back. I watched it climb from the mid-teens to the mid-80s in roughly an hour while I grabbed lunch. Having it jump that quickly is a big deal because outages here can be choppy. On for an hour, off for 3. I also paired it with a folding 400-watt solar panel. Midday winter sun gave me a reliable 300 to 360 watts in, and on a clear spring afternoon, it ticked higher. It's not infinite power or anything like that, but it's enough to stretch things for a long weekend if I manage the loads. Noise matters to me because I keep it in the living room during storms. At light loads, I barely hear it, more like a soft air movement than a whine. When I run the microwave or a hairdryer, the fans ramp up, but it's a low, steady sound and not that sharp pitch some units have. I've used it overnight with a CPAP and a small fan and had no trouble sleeping. The app is handy with one hiccup. Bluetooth pairing worked right away. Wi-Fi took me 2 tries, then it stuck. I use it to turn AC and DC on or off from the couch, check cell temps when it's charging hard, and set charging limits. I keep it at 80% most days and bump it to 100% when storms are in the forecast. That kind of control feels practical instead of gimmicky. I like the physical design more than I expected. The telescoping handle and wheels are the difference between sure, I'll move it, and ugh, not today. Rolling it across the driveway and up a short ramp is easy. Lifting it into a tall SUV by myself is doable, but I have to get the angle right and take my time. On grass, it rolls fine. On loose sand, it's a struggle. The shell feels sturdy, the light bar is actually useful for blackout evenings, and the little rear compartment for cords is the kind of thoughtful touch that keeps me from losing cables. Compared to what I used before, the gap is big. My older 1000-watt pack was fine for phones, LED lights, and a small TV. It couldn't run a microwave without tripping. It charged painfully slow from the wall, and the fan had a sharp whine that got old fast. It also didn't have a quick switchover for the desktop, so power blips still meant reboots. The P3200 just eats those tasks without me thinking about it, and the fast wall charging changes how I plan for outages. I can top it off, cook, and be ready for round 2 without babysitting it all day. I've also borrowed a couple more expensive, larger capacity stations from friends. Those can stack batteries and sometimes offer more advanced home integration options, but they're much heavier and harder to move around. For my needs, 120 volts household stuff, fast recharge, reliable UPS behavior, the P3200 hits a better balance. If you're trying to power a whole home HVAC where you need 240 volt split phase, that's a different category entirely. For an apartment, a small home office, an RV, or campsite power with real appliances, this feels right. There are trade-offs. It's heavy enough that you plan where it lives, and lifting it solo into a high trunk isn't fun. A few settings live in the app, so if you're allergic to phone control, that might annoy you. Solar input tops out at a point where it's great for weekend trips and topping off during sunny days, but if you're trying to live entirely off-grid on solar with heavier loads, you'll be watching the weather and your usage closely. The ports are plentiful, though I'd love beefier covers for dusty trips. The value question comes down to how you use power. As a true backup that can run the big stuff I actually need, fridge, microwave, power tools in the driveway, even a portable AC, and then charge back fast so I'm ready for the next outage. It's worth it to me. Life PO4 cells that are rated for a long life make me feel better about keeping it topped off and using it often. I use it weekly, even when the grid is fine, just because it's convenient to roll out and power a project in the garage without running cords. If you just want something to charge phones and a laptop on a camping trip, this is overkill. If you've been frustrated by smaller packs that choke on kitchen appliances, or you want a quiet UPS that keeps your desktop and network alive during blips, this solves real problems without a lot of drama. It's the first battery station I've owned that I trust to just work during a blackout without babysitting it. That's my experience after living with it through a couple outages and a handful of weekend trips. If you have questions about how it handles a specific appliance, how I set up solar, or how I manage charge limits day to day, drop a comment below and I'll share what's worked for me. If this video helped you out, hit subscribe and let me know what you want me to test next.